What's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over synthetic division. Um, it's much more useful than uh, polynomial long division, just in the sense that it's a lot faster, easier, and it's kind of just you're going to use it in the middle of a problem just because it's faster and it's easier. And oftentimes, if you're working with like in calculus or pre-calculus, you're going to be using much bigger equations than you would see in algebra 1 or geometry or even algebra 2. So having the lesser complexity of synthetic division is really nice. That said, it's really kind of like obscure to learn in the first time. I know that for me at least, it took me a good couple days to actually wrap my head around how synthetic division works. And for that matter, even polynomial long division, which I still to this day cannot do 100 with 100% accuracy, unlike synthetic division. Um, so I mean, let's just get started. First thing you're going to want to do, draw a box where you will put a number in later. And then what you're going to want to do to the right of that box, just list out your coefficients. So 9, 6, and negative 24. If this was plus 24, it'd be positive 24. But since it's not, it's gonna be negative. Since it's minus, it's gonna be negative. Then you're gonna want to place a bar with room so that you can put numbers underneath these numbers. And then in this box, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set your denominator, what you're dividing your thing by, equal to 0, and then solve it. It's going to be one of these like binomial things, like x minus 2, x minus 3, x plus 5, x plus 7, stuff like that. And you're going to want to set it to equal to 0 and just find what makes it true. So in this case, 2 minus 2 is equal to 0, so it's going to be 2 here. So with your first rule, with your first coefficient, what you do is you just pull it down. It's just, you do no math, you just pull it straight down. What you do now is you just multiply 2 times whatever this thing that you pulled down was. In this case, we pulled down 9 because 9 was the coefficient, so we multiply by 2. And then we put it here, 18. We add these two, we get 24, and then we do the same thing. We multiply 24 by 2, so we get 48. And then we add these two, and then we get positive 24. Okay? So you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, polynomial long division, probably like 20 more steps. Nope, you're basically done. Okay, looking back at the problem, if I can get there, you see how 9 is x squared, 6 is x, and negative 24 is a constant. The way that you do this is you just shift these things over. So 9 instead of being 9x squared, instead of being 9x squared, it's 9x. 6x instead of being 6x, it's just 6. Negative 24, instead of just being a constant, you do it, but you put it over what you're dividing by. So in this case, it's positive 24 here. So you divide it by it becomes 24 over x minus 2. You see? This case becomes 24x, or 24, just your constant, and this becomes 9x instead of being x squared. You just shift over, so you can write this like x and then constant. But this just shifts over so that this 9 becomes x, this becomes constant, and then this becomes your remainder is what they call it. And you just put whatever you got down here over what you're dividing by. So all written out, this is 9x plus 24 plus 24 over x minus 2. And that's your answer for that. Alright. If that kind of went past you, just keep on watching as I do these next two examples, and then look back if you're confused at some point over when you get confused. Just look back and see how I explained it. Okay. So once again, x minus 3 equals 0, 3. Write out my coefficients, 1, negative 11, negative 36. If you're new, if you're just doing this for the first time, it helps you visualize how you shift. You can write x squared x constant with a C. You can just write that above them, and then you just know, oh, I just have to shift them to the left and then make the last one my remainder. Okay. Bar, and then just drag down. 3 times 1, 3. This sum of this is, what's that, -8. And then this times this is -24. This is, what's that, 40 times plus -40 minus 20 is -60. Okay. And then I remember x squared is where it starts, so then this becomes my x, this becomes my constant, and this becomes my remainder. So x squared minus 8 minus 60 over, what was it, x plus 3, x minus 3. X minus 3. That's your answer. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Box -1, because x plus 1 equals 0 is -1. And then +3, -3, and then 2. Go down, bar, 3 times -1, -3, add these two, -6 times -1, 6, add these two, 8. Looking back at it, x squared is where it starts, so then this becomes 3x minus 6 plus 8 over, what was it, x minus 1, x plus 1. X plus 1. Make sure you put parentheses around this. I don't know if teachers count it as wrong if you don't, but if you don't, there are some like factoring that you can do that's different. I won't go into that right now, but it's not really important where you're at, but where you would be at if you were doing this, but it's useful later. So I'm just gonna write out kind of like the pattern that you used. So drag down, and then I'm gonna write the number right next to it. Step 1. Actually, yeah, just step 1, and then multiply. Step 2. Pull over here. Step 3. Add. Step 4. And then multiply again. Step 5. Add. Step 6. And then shift over to the right. Step 7. 7-step program. Obviously, really not that difficult once you kind of get the pattern down. It is like, I'd be lying to you if I said this was actually useful in a lot of instances. It's really not that useful, but you gotta know it to pass the test that your teacher is giving you for no reason.